Hello and welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti. For news, reviews, and conversations on all things pro wrestling, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. We're reviewing night 2 of WrestleMania 36. And the one thing everybody's talking about, Ralph, is the Firefly Funhouse match between Bray Wyatt and John Cena. It was very interesting, very strange, very fun, and a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people talking about it. I got to imagine that this type of match or this type of approach is something that's going to be a little divisive. So I'm sure there are people who are certainly praising this. And from everything I've read on social media, on Twitter, and on other, on Facebook, on WWE's Facebook account, it looks like a good majority of the people that watched this actually enjoyed it. That's good news for WWE. If there's one thing that they were able to do over the weekend that is definitely impressive is between the Firefly Funhouse match, if you want to consider this a match, and the Boneyard match, if you want to consider that a match. They got people talking, which is always a good thing. You know, it does them well when they get people talking, especially when it's in a good way. Because for a majority of the past year and a half, it seems like no matter what WWE did, no matter what route they took, no matter what approach they took, for a good majority of their pay-per-views and their content, a lot of people weren't into it. They weren't interested in it. They automatically said that they didn't want to give credit to WWE. And with this approach, it seems like they may have found some type of happy medium where they got enough people talking, and it seems like a good majority of it is in a positive way.
Yeah, I know. And some people were a little negative about it. And especially this match. I think there were more negative reaction to this match than the Boneyard match because it was not exactly a wrestling match. There
Right.
was not really a fight. It was more of I honestly don't have the words to really describe what exactly we saw in this Firefly Funhouse match, except that it took us on this weird ride of John Cena's career and Bray Wyatt's career and a lot of what if situations, especially that part in the match where we saw John Cena join NWO as was this like a what if John Cena ever turned heel situation? I don't know. It was so weird what played out in this match.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you went into this watching the Boneyard match or watching this match to any extent and try to consider this or hold it to the standard of a wrestling match, I mean, obviously it's going to fall short of that significantly because it's not a professional wrestling match. In my opinion, it's what WWE does best. It is entertainment, and I talked about this on our review of day one. WWE is an entertainment company. They are not a professional wrestling company. They don't pretend to be a professional wrestling company. Vince McMahon has always been open about saying that they are an entertainment company. Last night, in my opinion, what they put on for the Firefly Funhouse match, if you will, was entertainment and entertaining to me and to a good majority of the people that watched it from what I've seen so far. Um, Knowing that, you know, when I was kind of critiquing this or when I was watching it, it definitely took you on more or less like a roller coaster ride through the careers of these two, like you said. And it worked, I think, because John Cena is certainly somebody who is either liked or disliked by the people who are going to cheer for him or boo for him. And knowing that he's a character that you're either going to get cheered or booed, they were able to pretty much create some type of production where they had the story with Bray Wyatt, they told the backstory, they took you through Cena's whole career, and they brought it to a main climax where at the end of it, obviously the Fiend got his ultimate revenge, at least for now, on John Cena. Um, so I think it told a story. I think it had a point. I think it served a purpose, and I think it was entertaining. So if you critique it from that perspective, I think it checks all the boxes and it does what it's supposed to do: keep you entertained, progress the storyline, and get the Fiend over, which is probably the most important thing of the entire match or segment or whatever you want to classify this thing as.
Right. And it really did do that. And it's such a way where there was a lot of comedy involved in this little segment too, where
Yeah.
there were little hints of the Nikki Bella relationship. There were jabs at Vince McMahon throughout this whole thing where all he does is like the big muscly guys, and they had John Cena overwork his biceps to the point where he couldn't move his arms.
Yeah.
Such good shit line was used in the commentary with him and Macho Mercy, which was a play on the original commentary team for Monday Night Raw. It was just, there's so many things to pick in this match. And if we did that, we'd probably go in a whole hour trying to find every little Easter egg in this match. Very good. And for those that don't like this match, I think what it was one, it was weird. Let's just say it. It was a weird production. And two, if you didn't understand all the Easter eggs and all the little references, you're not going to enjoy this match, because this was for a dedicated, longtime wrestling fan that knows the history of everything day in and day out, WWE, and they culminated it in a 13-minute video package.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the main thing with this, like I said, is you can't hold it to the standard that you hold like a match like Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, or Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, or whatever match you want to talk about. Edge versus Orton even last night. And any of the matches you saw other than the Boneyard match or this match here, you can't hold it to that same standard, because it's something that's completely different. What WWE was trying to do here is, one, get the people talking, which they certainly got people talking, whether it was good or bad. They're obviously, people are talking about the Boneyard match, and they're talking about this match all over social media, which is a good thing. And for them, it's good news, because from what I've seen so far, it's positive reviews of it.
Right.
And that's obviously good, because there was so much criticism going into this weekend, a lot of uncertainty. Was it going to be successful? What's WrestleMania going to be like without fans? I can't believe Vince McMahon is deciding to go forward with this. Overall, I mean, whether it was the matches they had, I think the matches were pretty good. But definitely for me, the thing that I took away from this weekend was the Boneyard match, as the cinematography of the Boneyard match, and the production value of the Firefly Funhouse match. They were both very good. So yeah, I can't really complain about them.
Yeah, they were very good. I'm not complaining about them. As someone that works in television, I really have a great appreciation for them and the effort that they put into it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But let's get into the stuff that we saw at the Performance Center for night 2, starting off with Charlotte Flair beating Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship after a 20-minute match. I thought it was a solid, good match to start off the show. I don't like the decision of giving the belt to Charlotte Flair. Yeah. Why do they do this? Why is Charlotte Flair the NXT Women's Champion? It makes no sense to me.
There's two reasons I can think of off the top of my head. One of them is obvious to me. When they decide to continue to go forward with NXT, whenever that may be, they want to try and use her name and use the fact that she's been on the main brand, if you will, Raw or Smackdown, for quite some time, to draw in people to compete with AEW. That's the obvious one. I think that the obvious conclusion I think a lot of people are going to draw from this. The other thing is, like the comparison I made in our first review of night 1. To me, Rhea Ripley is still relatively unknown to the casual fan, a fan that doesn't necessarily watch NXT on a regular basis or just watches Raw or SmackDown. And when you're put in a situation where you need these larger than life characters or individuals who already have an established name to get people to watch in a time like this, given the fact that there is no crowd there, I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to rely on people who have an established name, an established brand, and somebody that's recognizable to get people to watch. I mean, if you look at the ratings and the viewership of NXT, it's very obvious they've gone down. And it's not just NXT, but across the board for most of the promotions, AEW included. So I think what they're trying to do is mitigate people from not watching, trying to get people interested again. And unfortunately, right now, Rhea Ripley is not as well known as Charlotte Flair. I don't like that. I don't agree with the fact that Rhea Ripley lost, but I'd rather see her win the title back from Charlotte when things have calmed down, when she can actually go in front of a live crowd, and they could try to push her to be the person they want her to be.
Maybe the fact that Rhea's might be a better chaser than a champion. We've said that numerous times, where people are better chasers than champions. That could be the case too. So, I mean, we have to let this play out before we say that this was a bad decision. You might be right that they might just have Flair as the champion just to try to draw in extra ratings, extra viewers. But let's move on to the next match, which had really no build to it because one half of them weren't even on television for this build. And that's Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. 7 minutes, 20 seconds. Very stiff match, I thought. Some good strikes by Aleister Black, including the Black Mass at the end of this match. I thought this was a solid 7-minute match. I liked it.
Yeah, you know, I liked it too. And especially, like you pointed out, there wasn't a lot of build towards this match, but, you know, maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing given the, you know, the stuff that we've seen from Lashley. It seems like whenever they give him a mic or however they decide to promote him, you know, it doesn't necessarily do him any favors. It's not like he's bad on the mic. It's just, you know, if you want to assume that everything is scripted for the wrestlers in WWE, the content they've given him hasn't been very good. So just allowing them to go out there and just have a match and judge it based on that without any expectation going into it, I don't think it did it a disservice. I thought it was fine, though. I thought this was a good stiff match, like you pointed out. I thought the Black Mass at the end was good. It seems like they're definitely planning on splitting up Lana and Bobby Lashley sometime soon. But I had no issues with this.
Yeah, I hope that split comes soon because this whole thing with Lashley and Lana has not been good from the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
All right, moving on to from one split to a team going together here. Otis does, in fact, defeat Dolph Ziggler after 8 minutes and 15 seconds. I think this is the one match of the weekend that really needed a crowd to really get the full emphasis of this match because we got Mandy Rose slapping Sonya Deville that would have gotten a good pop, Otis getting the victory that would have gotten a good pop, and of course, Otis getting the girl at the end with the kiss would have gotten 80,000 fans at Raymond James Stadium just going absolutely nuts. Yeah. I just wish that this is one of those where they should have taken this off the card and let this wait out till we had fans again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, you hit the nail on the head, I think, with this one. I think definitely could have benefited from having a live crowd there. And it's unfortunate because this is probably one of the matches that people could have easily gotten into just from an emotional standpoint. You know, Otis getting the Maxim, you know, cover girl, if you will, if you want to compare it to that. It's kind of like, you know, the common man gets the girl that everybody wants. And, you know, everybody expects her to go with a guy like Dolph Ziggler, and she ends up going with a guy like Otis. Would have gotten a great reaction out of the crowd. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The match itself wasn't bad. It was fine for what it was. But this is probably one of those matches that you wish you could have done in front of a live crowd, I think.
Yeah, and the next match, I don't know if it was the fact there was no crowd or the fact that there was no commentary really or any vocalization other than moans for 36 minutes. But Edge versus Randy Orton was a huge letdown with the build that this match got. It was way too long, way too long. And I mean, the commentary here really let this match suffer because of all the awkward silences. Got Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips commentating this thing like it's a freaking golf match. It was terrible.
Yeah. Match was definitely very long. Commentary team was not good. If there's ever a time where you need the commentary team to tell the story and, you know, kind of do their part in this, it's a match like this where last man standing, you know, there's no crowd there. You're not going to get any type of reaction. So that was unfortunate. I definitely feel for Edge, and I don't know if you got a chance to see the 24 show that they did on him after WrestleMania.
Yes, I did.
But all of the hard work and all of the effort just to come back for a moment like that at WrestleMania, where, you know, he got his moment at the Royal Rumble where he got the crowd reaction, but to be able to come out in front of 80,000+ fans and just have them go nuts once his music hits, and to have an epic match, just to have all of that kind of, you know, squandered to settle for something like this. It's not like they didn't work hard, and it's not like they didn't work their asses off and sell and do some spots that were dangerous, but, you know, what could you do? The other issue I had with this was we just saw Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano have a very similar brawl. What was that, 2 or 3 weeks ago in the same Performance Center? So, you know, if you watch both NXT and the main card, you know, you kind of saw this already. There was so much hype going into this match, both because it was Edge's return and because both guys were so strong on the mic. You know, to live up to that expectation with no crowd, the fact that it was last man standing, it was going to be difficult no matter what. I do think Edge will wrestle again. I think that if all of this is cleared up by SummerSlam, maybe they revisit this whole feud. But I can't see, when he talks about going out on his own terms, I can't see this being the bookend. Like, this can't be the last chapter that's written in the career of Edge, in my opinion. I don't see it that way. I think he'll wrestle again in front
Yeah,
of a live audience. At least I think he has to.
yeah, he definitely has to. I think he signed a 3-year contract anyway, so this definitely isn't the last match for Edge, and obviously not the way he wanted his comeback match to be. But man, like, just the whole thing was just awkward silence for 36
Yep.
minutes, and people were going on social media being like, "Why is this taking so long?" And
Yeah.
I don't know who was involved with producing that match, but ugh, it was bad.
What I thought we were going to get out of this initially, if you remember at the beginning of the match, Orton wasn't coming out, right? And then he came from, he dressed as the cameraman. He came into the ring and he gave Edge the RKO to start
Yep.
the match. I thought we were going to get, if anybody watches any of the movies in the Rocky series, remember Tommy Gunn versus Rocky in Rocky 5? I thought Orton was going to pop up on the screen and have Edge come outside, and they were going to have some type of last man standing street fight-esque 20-minute battle outside. But we didn't get that, obviously. I wish they had done something like that, because I think they could have uh, made it feel less produced, and, just having them go throughout the entire performance center, having it in one spot, and just shortening it, really cutting this in half could have done it a huge service. But it can't do anything about that now,
Right.
unfortunately.
Right. But luckily, the match after that, I think, was the perfect placement for this match. It was the Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Austin Theory for the Raw Tag Team Championships. No build to this match either. Went only 6 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yep.
The Street Profits have so much energy. They just boosted everybody right back up. And then after they retain, we have Bianca Belair come out, which was awesome. But this might have been, one of those moments where the crowd definitely would have made it even better.
Yeah.
But all around, I like this match. I do. It was perfect for where it was.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad match. Like you said, you know what you're going to get out of the Street Profits. And I think that Angel Garza is definitely somebody who has a very bright future ahead of him. And Austin Theory, I don't know if he intends to stay or if they intend to keep him on the main card, but definitely a guy who has a ton of upside and a ton of potential. It's just a matter of what they try to do with him, if they utilize him or if he goes back to NXT. But I didn't take any issue with this match. I thought it was good.
Yes, I agree. And now the Fatal 5-Way elimination match. I didn't realize it was an elimination match until they did the introductions, but Bayley does retain after Lacey Evans gets interfered with by Sasha Banks.
Yep.
Sasha Banks was eliminated after getting a vicious women's right, and then was pinned afterwards. I thought this match was very good storytelling, and I did like the hint of the finish where it seems like now Sasha Banks knows that Bayley needs her to retain that title, and that's going to build up for whenever this split up happens.
Yeah, definitely agree. I don't think it was a bad match. It was a little hard to get into because there's only so many people involved in that match that I think could believably win it. I think a lot of people thought Sasha was going to win, and if not Sasha, maybe Lacey Evans. Tamina, she's been there for a long time. I couldn't see them putting the belt on her. But no, again, it was an okay match. No major issues with it. It helped progress the night, but I think that the main thing coming out of this is just that we're going to get Sasha and Bayley again.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, hopefully that's SummerSlam. I think that's where all this is going to build up to. So for the questionable decisions, just know I think some of this will get revisited towards SummerSlam. So then we had the Firefly Funhouse match we already talked about, but then the main event, which I believe is the shortest main event in WWE WrestleMania history. Drew McIntyre beats Paul Heyman in 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Paul Heyman does not introduce Brock Lesnar, which was something I'd never thought would happen. F5s, Claymores, very similar to what we saw the previous night, for the Universal Championship. Just everybody just hitting their special moves, and then that's a pin. Let's hope this is the end of Brock Lesnar as a champion, and let Drew McIntyre be the face of the company. He deserves it at this point.
Definitely deserves it. I wouldn't be opposed to another Brock Lesnar championship run way down the line. I think that the fans deserve a champion who's going to go out there and put on matches that people can invest in. Not that people don't get into Brock Lesnar matches, but I mean, in comparison to what we saw the other night with Goldberg and Braun Strowman, I think people have obviously caught on to the fact that these types of matches, you know, they're going to be high impact, but you also know you're not necessarily going to get your money's worth. I don't need to see any more of the, jackhammer spear, F5, power slam, 5 big moves and go home. I want to see main events that are 20 minutes back and forth, good drama, good storytelling. And I think we could certainly get that with Drew McIntyre. Keep the belt on him. Let him get into some feuds with guys like Kevin Owens or Seth Rollins or whoever it may be, guys that can go out there and deliver in the ring. Because when you put the belt on guys like Brock Lesnar, to a certain extent, sometimes you might get a good match. He had good matches with guys like AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, but a good majority of those matches only went for 5 minutes. And that goes for him. That goes for Goldberg. Hopefully it doesn't go for a guy like Braun Strowman. But the fans are paying for this. They're paying for a monthly subscription to the WWE Network. They're paying for tickets. They're paying for the pay-per-view. Give the people what they're paying for. Don't have any more of these 5-minute matches. Let them go out there, let them have a match, and let the fans get invested in it and have fun with it.
Yes, totally agree. So closing this out, Ralph, which night was better, night 1 or night 2?
I think collectively night 2 was better. I think the thing that I like most about the entire weekend was the Boneyard match, though.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let us know. I'll put a poll above my head here. Vote on which night you thought was better. Comment below which match was your favorite on the weekend. Don't forget to share this over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPV Podcast. And for news, reviews, and conversations on all things pro wrestling, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. For Ralph Valenti on Skype, my name's Michael Valenti. Thank you for watching the Squared Circle Psychobabble.